Yo, what's up, everybody? Dr. D. Listen, today we're going to talk about weight loss. And I definitely don't want to make this into another video online where it's like, oh, I know, here comes the common topic of always and weight loss. And I really, really hope to add a lot of value in this video to you guys, and especially those of you struggling to lose the weight. I don't want to make it into a video where it's a lot of hocus pocus and eat pizza and do this and you can still lose weight. And we'll talk about how some people can't eat pizza and they're still losing weight, etc. And I know what I just said to a lot of you guys, like, eh. So, um, weight loss is a big struggle for a lot of our Western civilization nowadays, and especially here in America, with a lot of the foods that we have, etc. And I'm not, you guys already know. If you're watching this video, more than likely you already know this, and you're struggling with looking in the mirror and grabbing that fat that you don't want to grab, or putting on a bikini and in your house alone, and you don't even maybe want your boyfriend, husband, or whatever to see you, or guys too. So you more than likely are already aware of the problem, and you see it in the mirror. And so the point of this conversation today is to actually tell you guys, hey man, come on man, let's set a date to look at the mirror and be proud of what you see. Let's set a date for you to walk across the beach, and I'm sitting on the 50th floor right now. There's my office is glass. I see South Beach right there, and you want to make it a goal to walk across the beach and feel good, right? And I live in a city where like I'm telling you, the beach is right there. Everybody wants to look and feel good, and I do want to tell you guys, I'm proud of myself because I did go to med school. I do have an MD behind my name. As you guys, if this is your first lecture you're watching, I did not finish my residency. I went down the alternative medicine path, but if you already know a little bit about my story, you'll know that. But one thing I do feel proud is that I did go into the health sciences community, and I live by it, and I do consider myself to be in good shape and healthy. So let's talk about this a little bit today, and I'm going to bring in my years of knowledge in the field. And I've done research at Metabolic Institute at Cleveland Clinic here in Florida. Did that for a whole year, plus my studies in medicine before. But I'm going to tell you, it doesn't mean much that I studied medicine. I'm talking to you guys about nutrition and so forth, because you know why? You know how many hours of nutrition they teach us in medical school? Depending on the school, maybe 2 to 4 in all the years of medical school. It's pretty sad to see that we don't have that education as it relates to food and diet and nutrition and lifestyle, right? It was Hippocrates that said, let thy food be your medicine. And that's really important when you think about it, because I've said this in other lectures. It's not only about how you look, it's about being healthy, and then your body is going to look different, right? 70% of cancers are food derived, right? Think about that for a second. So foods are very important, right? And lots of times, even for weight loss, just removing the inflammation, okay, that the foods, that the way they're being cooked, etc., or the foods that you're eating will help you to lose the weight just by removing inflammation. And we have a lot of experience with this at Biohax. I've had people call me and they're like, Doc, your team's amazing. Your head doc put me on this and this and this, and they're like, I haven't even started taking the supplements you guys suggested, and they're like, I've lost 15 pounds in 2-3 weeks. Why? Because we removed a lot of the garbage, right? Because at first, we send all our clients all their supplementation and so forth, but it takes a minute to get there. But as soon as these blood exams come back and we see all the inflammatory markers, the foods that are inflaming them, the leaky gut, and all that stuff, the food additives that are hurting them, we're like, okay, get rid of all this garbage, right? Our first philosophy is to always remove toxicity. And lots of times when you do that, you'll lose weight. Will this happen to everybody? No. Will some people see more of a drastic difference than others that it will be affected? Yes, right? So Today, I really want to give you guys some steps on how to effectively lose weight and be healthy. Now, as I'm saying, lose weight, I'm already having. I just said that, I have a little bit of a problem with using that term because. And then just a reminder, this is not rehearsed. This is just me speaking. Most of these lectures, sometimes I will read a little bit just to catch up on a few things, but lots of times this is all coming out of just coming out of my brain because this is all we do all day. So when you say lose weight, or when I just said lose weight, it bothers me a little bit because you don't want to lose just weight. You want to gain muscle and burn fat. But now here's the problem. Say somebody sumo wrestler type body, somebody that's really really heavy, and I've worked in this case it was surgery up to 1,000 pound patients. I've seen a 1,000 pound human in bariatric surgery, and I've had the pleasure to work with some of the best guys in the world in bariatrics, and doing research, and I've seen larger humans where their surgery is indicated, and you see I'm a little cautious to say this because I do think there's other ways around this. And then the follow-up to bariatric surgery is pretty bad. We lose track of those patients over the years, and one thing that's very interesting is that those types of patients tend to have a pretty addictive personality. So then when you do the Roux and White or the sleeve surgery, or nowadays the sleeve is more popular. I actually had met the doctor that came up with the sleeve surgery. I can't remember his name now. He's not an American, but I met him at a conference. Thing is, once you limit that person's ability to intake food, many times they can develop other habits like alcoholism and things like that. So very important on weight loss. First step is mindset. And I'm going to tell you guys, I live always with an idea of I need to nurture my body. Like my wife told me 2 days ago, she's like, it's amazing. She told me this. She told me this Sunday. We went to go drink some matcha, and I added this liposomal vitamin C into my body. And she literally told me, she's like, you don't care what things taste like. She's like, you just care about health. And I said, absolutely. It's nice if things can taste good, obviously. I'm human too. I have a sweet tooth. But, my mom tells me all the time, she's like, you don't like sugar as much as I do. I'm like, oh, really? It doesn't work that. I'm like, I like it too. So it's about mindset, guys. Okay? And like I said, I've done research with the bariatric community, patients, and we do see, for those that we're able to continue to have follow-up, like I said, follow-up to bariatric surgery research is really bad. We try to keep track of those patients to see, but 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it kind of falls off, and you don't know kind of really what happens to them. It's not because the doctors don't want it; they really want to continue doing the research, but then the patients just don't come up. We don't hear from them again. And this is the last time I participated in research with this, which was 2015, 16. So hopefully things have changed for the better, but as far as I know, it still continues the same. So it's important to really set your mind on wanting to be healthy and to lose weight. Okay, before I get into like the specific details of tips and tricks and so forth, because I know everybody here wants to hear the magic trick. And if you're looking to hear a magic trick, stop right now. And literally stop. Don't waste your time. I'm not going to give you a magic trick. Probably the biggest magic trick is the power of belief, and know that it's possible for you to get that weight off of you, that fat off of you. Let's not say weight. Let's talk about fat. And I'm going back to the idea of weight and lose fat and so forth. Let's talk about losing that fat, because fat is an organ. Fat is releasing even other hormones inside of you, right? For example, like the estrogens, it shouldn't be called estrogen. It should be called estrogens because you have estrone, estradiol, estriol, right? So estrone, and it's kind of easy to remember. Just think estrone, one, sounds like one. Oh, actually spelled the same way, O-N-E, but estrone, right? That's associated to your fat mass. That's associated to your adipocytes, right? Which are the fat cells. Estradiol associated to your gonads. right? Where there's your ovaries or testicles. They're both, the gonads is just a fancy term for reproductive organs. And then you have estriol, which is a combination of kind of all of them, and then that has to do with environmental factors and so forth. So estrone is secreted by your adipocytes, right? So and that's increasing a lot of the toxicity, let's say, in your body, hormonal imbalance and so forth. Again, not so much toxicity, but toxicity from a hormonal standpoint, where you're a bit toxic because your hormones are off. And it impacts your testosterone levels, it will impact your libido, it will impact your energy, it will impact your mood, will impact, just not from the estrogen, but just the fact that you have more fat mass on you. Now, depending on how old you are, this is very interesting, because if, say, you're a younger person and all your younger years, and you say, oh, I come from a family that's always been a little chubby, I'm a little chubby too, and I'm in my 20s and I'm still chubby, etc. It's like lots of times people say, oh, I have diabetes, diabetes runs in my family. Well, does it run in your family, or does it run in your family's refrigerator and mindset and habits? So, really important. Tell me a man's habits and I'll tell you who he is, right? So your habits need to change. And here's kind of the magic trick. I will give you a magic trick to weight loss. And all these weight loss programs and so forth, they consist of one thing. It boils to calories. Calories, that's it. You need to eat less calories than you burn. I can finish the lecture here. And that's it. All these diets, all these mumbo jumbo programs, etc. It boils down to that. You need to eat less calories than you are burning. Okay, so if you eat more calories than you're burning, you're going to develop where you're going to gain weight. You're going to put fat on your body, etc. You can also you will put on some muscle, etc. But you're ultimately going to become a bigger human, and that's the opposite of what we want for today's lecture, right? We'll do another lecture on bulking and how to do that properly, and put on muscle. But for today, we're talking about losing fat. So it really boils down to how many calories you're putting in. So you can eat 2,000 calories of cheesecake, and that's going to take you about 45 minutes to eat that. And you can eat 2,000 calories of lettuce. That'll take you about 8 hours to do that. And how do I know the time? Well, because there's a statistic on chimpanzees. Chimpanzees take about 8 hours to eat 2,000 calories. And while an American takes about 45 minutes to eat his 2,000 daily calories. And then the chimpanzee and the human are really good metabolic comparisons. So think about that for a second. Chimpanzee, 8 hours to eat 2,000 calories. An American, about 45 minutes to eat 2,000 calories. So we have to consume less calories than we're expending, that we're burning. Just think about that for a minute. So how do we calculate that? There's something called the resting metabolic rate, RMR. Great machine, we have it in our office. Basically consists of just covering your mouth with this mask, and you'll see it looks like a little astronaut thing. It has this little tube, connects to another machine, and you're breathing in there and just sitting there and breathing, and you see how many calories you're spending every day. For example, I wear the Whoop, but my Whoop is actually very off. The calculation is very off. And if you guys don't know what a Whoop is, it's one of those wearables to track. I use it more to track my heart rate and so forth. On the calories, I feel like it's kind of off. Great product. Works a lot for a lot of people, but on the calorie side, at least for me, it's not set up correctly with my resting metabolic rate. Truth is, I haven't called them and told them about this. Maybe they can just do some little upgrade or something like that on mine that can get adjusted. But when you have the resting metabolic rate, you're able to see how many calories that person needs to stay alive. Just basically me sitting here in the chair all day, which is what you guys do at work, just sit in the chair all day. and then go back to your bed or whatever you're doing, couch, whatever. Especially for those people working at home, it's a really bad idea. So right now, I need about 2,900 calories. The first time I did this, which was about that I did at RMR, about 3 years ago, I needed about, I remember 1,950 because I was like, oh my God, that's very little calories for me. And I like to eat. I have a big appetite. So now it went up, and that's because of certain things I did as it relates to my hormones, etc., which we'll talk about in a second, about the importance of hormones for weight loss. But also, um, for example, when I have a kind of active day, which today I already trained one time, I did kickboxing in the morning. My average heart rate of training was like a good 130 beats per minute for an hour. My max was 168, so you just gotta track everything. Plus, I'm gonna train 2 hours at night jiu-jitsu, and I'm gonna go to the office now, etc. So very active day. Actually, today's a very active day. I'll probably need to consume around 5,000 calories, which is high. 5,000 calories is very high. So I can eat 5,000 calories, right? Then there's the quality of those calories that I'm going to eat. But the quality does not depend, and I don't care who, but I challenge anybody to come rebuttal this with scientific papers, etc. The quality of those calories is not what causes you to gain or lose weight, other than on the inflammatory side, right? Because if you do eat those 2,000 calories of cheesecake or burgers, they're going to inflame you more. Let's take a nice, big, fat, juicy, low quality, poorly constructed burger, right? A lot of you guys, a lot of us, for me included, if I eat one of those, I will be bloated, inflamed, fatigued, etc. So that will cause an increased amount of inflammatory response, um, and gain of weight, let's say, versus eating excessively lettuce or broccoli, for example, or whatever, your nutritious foods. But the point is, even if you eat too much nutritious foods, you're still going to go over and you still go over your calories. You're still going to gain weight. Period. End of story. I hope that's really clear. I just feel like I hammered that a little too much right now. But that, every time I see somebody, especially, I can't stand on social media these people that look like they're super chiseled, and they're talking about their theories for weight loss, etc. They're not being clear. A lot of these people are on their hormones and sometimes very, very, very dirty hormones, and they're not being clear with that. And don't be fooled. You see somebody, especially past late 30s to early 40s nowadays, and onward, and they look like they belong in the movie 300. I'm gonna tell you, 99% of the times, those people are taking things that you don't need to take. Okay, I'll tell you what I'm taking. You guys, I've already told you guys that my testosterone levels are optimized. I was actually just showing here Roger, which is, you guys don't see him, he's behind the camera, but I was just showing him my blood. Max testosterone levels is 1,200. I'm at 1,137, so I'm right there. My free testosterone, max is 26. I'm at 21. Right, so I keep things really, really where it needs to be, but I'll be very transparent with you guys about that. My growth hormone levels, I'm a little annoyed, came back a little lower than I'd like, came back at 221. Last time was at 330, max is 541, I believe, on the scale. So you don't need to go anything past 350. I think you can start to develop some problems, joint pain, etc., swollen hands, etc. But anyhow, so I'll be very transparent with you guys in regards to that, and you guys can write to us and ask us questions. I'll send you guys my blood. You guys can read my blood. No issues with that. But point is, it's really interesting on the whole weight loss conversation, where there's so many different conversations, but the whole point is the subtraction of the how many calories you consume versus how many calories you burned and your total. And you have to be in caloric deficit. End of story. So now is where you get into a lot of diets where people are like, yeah, sure, eat whatever you want, just stay under your calories. Call that the model diet, right? Where we work with quite a number uh, people that are in front of cameras all day, and we hear of some very interesting diets. But I'll tell you, this community knows very, very well that they should stay under the calories. But the problem is, what are you consuming? Is it stuff that you want to be giving to your body, right? Because it creates an inflammatory response, etc. Right? Like simple conversation now with linoleic acids. Linoleic acid is really, really bad for you. You find it a lot nowadays in chicken. I'm not saying that chicken is bad for you. I'm saying that chicken, the way it's processed nowadays, is pretty bad. And pork meat is also not the best. So there's the conversation that we've had up until now was a quantitative conversation versus a qualitative conversation. So the quality of the food is very important, because again, you'll see a lot of diet programs talking about, keep your quantities right, which I was telling you, the calorie gain. And yes, it's right, you're going to lose weight. But then the quality, it doesn't matter. It's not a qualitative program. So before you jump on a diet program, ask. I mean, and unfortunately, sometimes if you talk to these guys, they won't, no offense, but they won't even understand a lot of this conversation. Okay, quantitatively, how is your program constructed, and qualitatively? So what are the foods and et cetera that you will suggest? So this is where I really am a huge stickler on identifying the quality of foods your body should take. Remember what I told you in the beginning? I've had clients call me and say, hey, I was freaking 15 pounds or so in 21 days, 3 weeks, etc. Because we changed the quality of their diet, the inflammatory foods, etc. When you change the quality, and if those foods are inflaming you, it's pretty drastic. It comes down really fast. That's why I said it won't work on everybody. Sometimes people are so inflamed, and we don't know that. And then we're intaking those foods, and then ultimately, once we change the quality, we're like, whoa, whole different ballgame, right? On the quantitative side, sometimes it takes a minute, and then you'll notice that people plateau. They hit their plateaus, they hit their plateaus, they hit their plateaus. And weight loss it's a plateau game, because you're going to drop and you're going to hit a plateau. And you're going to drop and you're going to hit a plateau. Sometimes that plateau is really long and there's a problem there. You need to re-strategize. Plateaus shouldn't be bigger than 2-3 weeks, I would say. Then you should drop weight again, right? Now, when there is a really, really good connection between the person that's trying to lose the weight and the coach, and they're really understanding each other, and there's an applied gain, like I'll tell you guys, like I don't believe there's not anybody that, if they listen, that we can't help them to lose weight. And that's why you see these awesome success stories, where people are extremely overweight, hundreds and pounds of overweight, and they're still able to, 200-300 pounds overweight. And if they go into a proper program, they're able to lose weight. But it has to hit the mindset, guys. This is something where your mindset really has to be in the right place, right? So notice how I'm going to hit 3 points this whole time, and I keep going back to them. Quantitative, the little subtraction game, calories in versus calories out, you need to be negative. Mindset and quality of food. So now we're going to go a little bit more into quality of food. So when you're trying to lose weight, and you want to look at quality, and you should, guys, even for health, and this is one of the biggest points about health in this lecture. Yeah, being at proper weight is very important, but also putting in good quality foods. I've had people even I've worked with certain people. You can see I'm being cautious here, but I've worked with certain people that they're in great shape. You look at them, 6-pack, but they're eating, they're fasting all day, break their fast daily with cheesecake and wine. I've worked with people like that where I'm like, well, this is not healthy for you. I know maybe, hey, eat whatever you want. I've met other people, it's like, I don't eat all day, but then I stop at Burger King consistently, or McDonald's or whatever. And it's like, it's not a good idea. you're going to probably develop a disease in time. Yes, can fasting reverse a lot of, yes, fasting is good. But at the same time, if you're listening to me, I'm not of the philosophy like, let's be partially healthy. No, let's go. Let's be healthy, right? So, because fasting, I've seen a lot of people use fasting because you're going to reduce calories. Remember the math, the subtraction, calories in versus calories out. Oh, I could do the fasting and eat poor quality foods. No, I'm not your guy. Stop listening. I'm not trying to be, but quality isn't extremely important. So, what's a good way for you to see quality foods? Obviously, I mean, if you have a brain, look at a piece of broccoli and some broccolini. I really like broccolini. Look at some broccolini. Look at a poor quality burger in general, and be like, well, okay, you can figure that out. But nowadays, with the advent of the technologies that we have and blood exams, etc., we can actually look in a person's blood and see the type of foods that they should or should not be consuming, right? Um, and there's food sensitivity studies, right? I particularly really like a company called Cyrix, and there's another one called Vibrant. I've heard Genova does really good. Never worked with them, but I've seen some of their tests, really good stuff. There's other ones that I don't like so much. I won't mention their names, but why? Because I prefer quantitative and food studies, and also that are qualitative, that I can see the kind of food, but also the quantity of reaction to the food. Because one thing I tell you, hey, you're inflamed to potatoes are inflamed, right? And there's red, green, and yellow. And I tell you, you're on the red. Okay. But if I tell you you're on the red, the scale ends at 4 on the red, and you're at 13. We're like, oh Jesus, right? That's quantitative on the food side, right? Another quality of the reaction, but I want to know the quantitative side. And then it's also important to see if the test is serum based versus blood based, because if it's serum, it can last longer on. Remember, all these bloods, they get transported, etc. And not one test in medicine is perfect. Okay, so as they're being transported on trucks or left on wherever they're going to be left, if it's serum based, it's harder, way harder for that sample to be soiled. So because serum will last a good 3 weeks in room temperature versus blood, not at all, right? And it's easier for that sample to be soiled. So just some food for thought. So when picking labs to do this, because it does carry a price tag, and you want to make sure you're doing it with a good quality lab. So once you get all this information about your food sensitivities, not allergies. A lot of times people, allergies different. You eat it, you start choke or whatever can happen. Yeah, like a peanut allergy or something like that. Versus you're eating, and we did a lecture on gluten, so it actually was our last lecture. Go listen to that. But for example, you eat the gluten on Sunday night, you have the headache Thursday morning. Okay, those are sensitivities, or the bloatingness, etc. So once you understand your food sensitivities, then polyreactivity of foods, when you're eating one food and your body's reacting to the other food, guys, and go listen to our last lecture. It was all about that. It's the gluten lecture. It's called gluten. We talk about polyreactivity and all that. And you can extrapolate from gluten. This happens. These phenomenons. Biological phenomenons, they happen with all different kinds of compounds. It doesn't have to only be gluten. But whole point is, you're eating these foods and they're inflaming you, right? And we can see when they're polyreacting. So meaning you eat one thing, I don't know, like gluten, and your body's thinking it's casein. Again, go watch that lecture. Really good. We explained all this there. So once you start to collect all this data, then you look at leaky gut, then you look at SIBO, for example, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or bacteria and so forth, and you really start to balance this out and see the foods that you need to remove and the new foods you need to include. Because most of the times, I see this all the time, clients are like, oh my God, what am I going to eat? And it's like, stop thinking negative. There we go again on the mindset. I'm like, look at all the foods that you've never eaten. It's like, when's the last time you ate a macadamia nut? Macadamia nut? I don't know. I can't remember. Exactly. eat some macadamia nuts, right? Very good for cholesterol, etc. Speaking of that, today I'm gonna eat some macadamia nuts. I just thought of them. I really like them. I haven't had them in a while. And they're. I'm in my house right now. They're in the kitchen. I'm gonna go get some macadamia nuts right after this. So go get some macadamia nuts. If you have macadamia nuts, go get some macadamia nuts. Okay. But whole point is, um, um, guys, I like to joke around, like to be happy. So sometimes I will ramble on things like that. Deal with it. Comes with a lot of love. Anyways, so once you are able to map out the foods that are hurting you, etc., and yeah, inflaming you, let's say, and a lot of these foods can cause a leaky gut, which can then cause autoimmune issues, etc. And we'll see our lecture on autoimmunity, really, really important, really important lecture. Um, there's a huge possibility because you're improving the quality that weight loss is going to happen immediately right there. Okay, and that's where the mindset comes in again because you need discipline. You're like, oh my god, I really want to eat this. Or when you remove food additives, which is another one, the red 40, blue 7, yellow 6, all that garbage, MSGs, monosodium glutamates. These things are poisoning our bodies, our environment. Um, it's bad. It's bad. These are all new toxins we're putting into our environment, into humans, and it's hurting us a lot. And we have another lecture about that on, I believe it's called Detox. Go check that lecture out. We talk about anti-endocrine chemicals, etc. Very important. You guys take a look at this aspect of things because once we study those things and we show you, right? And if you're considering doing any tests like this, watch that lecture first, or while you're getting all these results, because it will give you more motivation once you see how nefarious these chemicals are to us. It'll give you more motivation to actually carry through and more discipline, right? So once you have all this data, right? And we love data. At least us. Mainstream medicine may seem like it is, but these little checkup mentality, one-page exams, that you do for a checkup is for blood, terrible. But once you collect all this data, then now we're able to start. We're able to get a quality study on you. Okay, so qualitative, right? Now you say you did an RMR, quantitative. You can wear your Whoop for some reason, and this is like I said, in my case, I don't know why my Whoop is not really connected with my RMR at this point. But probably should call them today. But you track your calories in versus your calories out, right? And that's why you see a lot of people weighing their food, etc. Especially bodybuilders, they're weighing their food all the time, etc. Because they know this game, right? And those people tend to be massive. So once you do an RMR, for example, and you understand the quality of foods versus the quantity of foods that you should be putting in versus what you're putting out in terms of calories, you got your quality of foods that you should be avoiding, etc. And it's not only foods too, but there's more. For example, oils. What oils are you cooking with, right? You shouldn't be, please do not be cooking with canola oil and these seed oils, etc. Very bad for you. But you should be using high quality coconut oil or beef tallow or ghee, right? And unfortunately, a lot of the olive oils nowadays, they're mixed with something else, lower quality oils or even avocado oils. But they're in essence, if you can find it pure, it's really good for you too. But so improving quality of foods, improving quality of oils are very important. Very important. I'm not going to touch base too much on this just because of time, but oils are very important on the quality of foods, okay? So maybe we should record a specific lecture on that. Probably will, but just know that for now, oils are extremely important for the quality of foods, and even on the pots and pans you're cooking with. You should be cooking on ceramic, and you don't Teflon and all that stuff. It releases anti-endocrine chemicals as well into your body. Not good. Okay. Same thing. What they say with the plastics. Oh, it's BPA free. Yeah, they have. When it's not BPA, it's B. I believe it's BPS or BFS, something like that. BFF. So, I'm kidding. I can't remember the name right now. But point is, when you improve the quality of what you're intaking into your body, in the maybe don't use microwaves, maybe don't consider here at home if we need to reheat something, put it back on the ceramic pan, reheat it, and have dinner or have lunch. Okay, really, really, really try hard not to touch the microwave. Okay, and trust me, it kills me. Uh, I'm always in a rush, so I'm like, oh my God, I gotta put this food on the pan. But worth it. It's worth it for your health. So once you improve the quality, you got the quantitative studies down. Now, how do you keep track of this? So what my biggest preference is a DEXA scan, which we have that in the office too. So we use a DEXA scan to map out essentially how much fat and muscle you have inside your body. It's a big X-ray to see basically your bone density. It's the machine that diagnoses osteoporosis. It's idealized for women, for example, over 65 years old. But, for example, on a DEXA scan, I have 36 pounds of muscle, no, that would be bad, of fat right now on me, okay? Which puts me at about 18% body fat on a DEXA scan. I know lots of times people tell me, I have 7% body fat. I'm like, well, maybe on those little calipers, etc. But on the real deal, Holyfield, a DEXA scan, the numbers are going to be a lot more, let's say, mean to you. Okay. So I use a DEXA scan. The lowest I've been has been about 17, low 17s. Really hard for me to get anywhere lower than that. And then highest I've been was 20, and I was really pissed off when I saw the 20. I was like, whoa. And it's a huge wake-up call, right? But here's the thing. Now, people that are losing weight on a DEXA scan, I've had this conversation with clients lots of times, sometimes they'll lose muscle and fat, and their percent isn't changing, right? They're stuck there on the 23%, 22%. They're like, what's happening? Well, if you're a big individual, remember, weight pushes weight, so muscle pushes the fat, right? Take a sumo wrestler, he has a lot of muscle. But if you want to get him with a six-pack, he's going to have to lose a lot of that muscle. Because I have clients come to us, it's like, Doc, they're pretty big, and then they're like, Doc, take off all the fat, but keep the muscle. I'm like, oh, really? This isn't plastic surgery. I don't even think plastic surgeons can do that. Point is, it's really important to understand when you're doing healthy weight loss and you're doing this properly, your body will start to adjust itself, okay? Now, is weight loss only done through eating nowadays? And why do I say nowadays? Because again of our environment, and like I said, we have anti-endocrine chemicals in our environment. No, proper weight loss should include hormone optimization, okay? Where are your hormones? Remember I started in the beginning, I said, oh, what if you're a younger person, etc. And you say, I've always been a heavy set person. Don't say it's genetic. Okay, don't chug that up to genes and, hey, this is the way it's going to be because this is the way it's going to be. No, don't think that way. Now, you might be too young to adjust your hormones, and that's something you need to talk to a qualified health care practitioner. But especially for people nowadays into their 30s, 40s, adjusting hormones is extremely important. I would not have the figure that I have if my hormones were not optimized. I wouldn't have the energy that I have. I wouldn't sleep the way I'd sleep, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So looking at your hormones is essential to also understand, hey, am I able to lose weight? But if you're young, for example, and one thing a family can have more tendency to, for example, and again, that goes back to lifestyle habits, etc., is, for example, insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is something that you see a lot in younger people nowadays, a lot. And then sometimes you don't understand why your 16 or 17-year-old daughter is super tired in the afternoon, or this can even be connected with their grades. How you give a kid insulin resistance and gluten intolerance, don't expect that kid to be a student. You're going to expect to be out of a straight D student. Absolutely. Because they're tired, they can't focus, they're going to be moody, etc. These things are very important. So there are adjustments you can make for a younger person. You remove all that garbage from their diet. Qualitative weight loss for young kids is super, super important. Change the quality of their foods. And even if In mainstream medicine, I can't see why somebody would disagree with that, right? Another thing that's very important is micronutrients. Look at the vitamins and minerals, etc., that are in this person's lifestyle and their diet, etc., on a daily basis. Are they intaking enough vitamins and minerals, micronutrients, amino acids, etc., to have them lose weight, right? Um, and then I just said amino acids. I'm not a big shake guy. I'm not a powder guy at all. So there's no powders I recommend. To me, that's extremely processed. Just think about it. Stuff that can sit there on a shelf, powder form. Give it to bugs. See if bugs want to eat that. They don't. So I'm not a powder guy. So when I say amino acids, in our case, when I'm talking about food, high quality food, and a lot of people with amino acids and protein, some people think if you eat too much, if you eat protein, you're not going to gain weight because of the keto diet and whatever. You will still gain weight if you eat too much protein. Okay, if you eat 5,000 calories of steak every day and you're only supposed to be eating 3,000, guess what's going to happen? You're going to gain weight. So understand that principle. Okay. So going back to the child that's trying to lose the weight, or the younger person, or anybody actually for that matter, qualitative again is very important. Removing the garbage diet and etc. from their life. Also, micronutrients, very important. Now, if you're older, that's where you get into, hey, how are my hormones looking? You should definitely check the hormones on a younger person because, for example, the younger person has insulin resistance. So they're a girl. The mechanism, for example, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is insulin resistance, which in mainstream medicine, doc tells the girl, a young girl, she has PCOS. Boom, they're going to prescribe. One thing that's suggested is birth control pills, and I honestly think that just messes up everything even more. But the funny thing is, for PCOS, which is caused by insulin resistance, you can treat with metformin, which is the diabetes type medication, right? So it's like, what's the connection? It's insulin resistance, because the insulin resistance disrupts the pulsatile fashion of release of GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is coming from the pituitary. Anyways, that should be a separate lecture. But insulin resistance is a big problem in our youth, and here's an easy number to remember. A 17-year-old child that has diabetes, you just in average automatically brought that person's or that child's life expectancy when he's an adult down by 17 years. So think about that for a second. And diabetes is a problem of insulin resistance caused by too much sugar, etc. So I know this has been long-winded, a mouthful, but in summary, and I know you guys want the magic tricks, as I do too. I'm not gonna let you. If somebody gives me a magic trick for any area of my life, I'll take it as long as it's something that it's of high quality and won't hurt me. So here's the quantitative. Look at the calories in versus the calories out. You need to be negative. Doc, do you live by this? Yes, I do. I will tell you guys, I live slightly hungry. I'm going to say that again. I live always slightly hungry. I always want to eat more than is given to me. Okay? Sometimes I do make the mistake of eating more than I should. Okay? Especially on the weekends. And if it's Mama's food. Come on. Okay. See, we all like to give ourselves a little excuse. 2. So qualitative was first. Quantitative was first. Sorry. Qualitative is very, very, very important, and quite frankly, this is probably the main reason you're listening to us, because you'll hear all these, like fitness gurus saying you can do this, etc. And that's where I like to shut them down and say this is not a qualitative conversation, and you can hurt the person long term because of the, again, quality of foods they're putting in. And then mindset should be first, actually. If your mindset's not right because you're about to embark in a tough road, tough path, that for some people will be a few months long, for some people it'll be years long, but it's about changing your mindset. It's not about the diets, it's about living this way. Okay? It's about living this way. And then it will be easier, obviously, if, again, you're a little older and you can optimize your hormones, etc. And even if you're younger, it's important that you optimize. You make sure there's no insulin resistance there. Check your child or your teenagers, or if you're a young adult, check a HOMA IR, HOMA dash IR in your blood. I just checked mine 2 days ago. No insulin resistance, right? So that's very important. You guys consider that. Micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, etc. Because remember, your body to detoxify itself, go watch the detox lecture, from all the garbage that we're putting in, uses micronutrients, glutathione, selenium. I mean, you can just ask Roger. Here, right? I told him right before we started recording. I stepped aside. I filled my needles. I do my micronutrients in little tiny needles, and I just took 4 shots, right here on the tush, and I took my vitamins in for today. More bioavailable, right? So keep those 3 points in mind: mindset, quantity, and quality. Okay, there's no magic trick to this. Maybe if you're getting confused with all the fitness gurus, etc., now take this information, this framework, and see, oh, here we go. They're talking about quantity, and if it's a higher level program, they'll talk about quality as well. And don't get confused. For example, with the fasting. Hey, I'm not going to eat all these hours, but I can eat bad quality foods. Or even keto, for example, I'm not going to touch those carbs, etc. But I'm just going to eat a bunch of protein and fried bacon and so forth, all ultra processed foods, and I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to be healthy. No, or even being vegan and vegetarian, right? And again, I don't get into this war, but going ultra processed as well, beyond burgers, etc. Extremely processed foods. Go watch another lecture we have in regards to that topic too. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's lecture. Keep it real, trying to keep it, take this really complex topic that people like to complicate, because there's money in this, right? You keep people scared and confused, you control them. And my goal is to help you guys to be sovereign about your health and understand your health a little bit better. So go look at the quantity and the quality of your foods and keep that strong mindset. Love you all. Dr. D.